On the night of September 28, 2024, the peaceful village of Ngobozana became a massacre scene. 18 people were shot dead, most of them women from the same family. Blood on the walls, bullet casings on the floor, a family party turned into a nightmare with no way out. What drove gunmen armed with AK-47s to shoot women and children in cold blood? Who was behind this coordinated massacre? And for what reason? The answers will shock the nation. Saifus Aksolo Mayekethe, 45, is the prime suspect in the massacre of 18 people in Ngobozana village, Lusikisiki, Eastern Cape. According to South African police, SAP's records, Mayekethe had been convicted of murder in a previous case. However, after being released on parole, he disappeared from the monitoring system and reintegrated into gang life. Sources told News 24 and SABC News that Mayekethe had long-standing links to criminal organizations in the Eastern Cape, particularly in Lusikisiki, an area with a troubled history of drug and arms trafficking. Police described him as a respected individual in the underworld, capable of giving orders from a distance without ever being present at the scene. What makes Mayekethe particularly dangerous is the network he built. Investigators have identified him as having direct links to several other suspects in the case, including Bonga Hinsa, Rwando Shakes, Songezo Vuma, and Afiwe Ndende. All were subjects who had been under surveillance for violent behavior, weapons possession, or involvement in unsolved murders. No lone wolf, Mayekethe was the nucleus of an organized crime group and is believed to have ordered the massacre that shocked the nation. According to court testimony and investigative reports from the South African Police Service, SAPS, Mayekethe was in contact with an organized crime group in Lusikisiki. The area is known as a hotspot for murders, land disputes, and illegal arms trafficking in the Eastern Cape. According to local media, shortly after his release from prison, Mayekethe began summoning individuals with criminal records or involvement in organized violence. The group consists of 7 people, including Bonga Hinsa, Luando Shakes, Afiwe Ndende, Songezo Vuma, Mawetu Nomdlembu, Muzukisi Ndamase, and Zenande Paya. They are all accused of being directly or indirectly involved in the Ngobozana massacre. The group had planned the attack days in advance, court documents show. The attack was not a random act, but a targeted campaign of revenge. The plan was carried out on the night of September 28, 2024, with the attackers breaking into 2 houses in Ngobozana village. The weapons used included an AK-47 and several pistols, according to SAP's crime scene reports and forensic examination results. According to the investigation from SAPS and testimony at the first instance trial, Saifus Aksolo Mayekethe was not just an ordinary killer. After being released on conditional release, he quickly reintegrated into the community as a reformed person, regularly participating in local events and being viewed by some members of the village as an example of successful reform. However, behind that veneer of sanctimony lies a sophisticated criminal system. Investigators say Mayekethe maintains links with armed gangs operating across borders, particularly in the Mozambique, South Africa region, which has long been considered a major conduit for illegal arms trafficking into the Eastern Cape and KwaZulu-Natal. According to a report from SAP's Eastern Cape, the Ngobozana massacre was directly linked to an AK-47 recovered at the scene, an unregistered gun, and the ammunition used had similar characteristics to weapons smuggled in from abroad. Possessing such weapons suggests that Mayekethe's logistics network was not limited to the local area, but could reach international smuggling routes. Police also suspect that Mayekethe had connections with former militants in the area, or elements who had joined the irregular armed forces. His selection of subordinates shows that he does not choose randomly, but chooses people who are experienced, loyal, and willing to kill without hesitation. According to the official investigation by the South African Police Service, SAPS, the massacre occurred on the night of September 28, 2024, in Ngobozana, a small settlement in the town of Lusikisiki, Eastern Cape Province. According to testimony from surviving witnesses and scene reports, 2 groups of gunmen split up to attack 2 houses where a large number of people were gathered to attend a traditional family ceremony. The timing of the attack is believed to have been carefully chosen, around 8 p.m., when the family was eating and drinking, with no chance of resistance or vigilance. In less than 10 minutes, the gunmen killed 18 people and seriously injured 5 others. One of the witnesses, a 13-year-old girl who survived, said the gunmen didn't say a word and just kept shooting at everyone in the room. At the scene, police recovered an abandoned AK-47, along with dozens of bullet casings from both rifles and pistols. According to the forensic report, the ammunition used included 7.62mm and 9mm, confirming that multiple types of weapons were used. Police described the attack as an execution in the dark, with clear signs that the target had been identified in advance. One family in particular, the Senkina family, suffered the most damage, with at least 9 people killed, including women and children. According to local residents, this family had a long-standing land dispute with relatives of one of the suspects. In an official statement, SAP's spokesperson, Colonel Priscilla Naidu, confirmed that the attack was targeted in nature and not a random act. Investigators also ruled out the possibility of a robbery because there were no signs of property loss, and many valuable items were still intact. The Ngobozana massacre is considered one of the worst mass killings in the history of the Eastern Cape province, and poses a major challenge to the South African criminal justice system in prosecuting organized crime groups operating in rural areas. After the bloody massacre in Ngobozana village, the initial investigation team encountered many difficulties because all the suspects fled, leaving no clear identification traces. However, the big turning point in the case came from a thoughtless act by one of the suspects, Lwando Abi Shakes. According to a report by News 24 and a statement from the SAP's representative in the Eastern Cape, Lwando Shakes posted a picture of himself holding a gun on social media just days after the shooting. In the photo, he poses with a rifle, wearing clothes that closely match the description given by witnesses at the scene. A resident took a picture and sent it to the police. Through comparing it with descriptions from surviving witnesses, including a 13-year-old girl, police determined that the image matched one of the gunmen who attacked Senkina's family. The girl provided crucial testimony, accurately describing the attacker's clothing, height, and the weapon used on the night of the crime. From this lead, the police began to expand the investigation. Lwando's social media accounts were traced, and the connection with Saifasaksolo Mayaketha and the remaining suspects was gradually clarified. Several other conversations, messages, and images were also collected as evidence. This is considered a fatal mistake of the assassin group when one of them failed to keep the necessary silence. In the world of organized crime, bragging about weapons on social media is not only dangerous, but also a double-edged sword that can lead to the collapse of an entire network. This mistake opened the first door for SAP to track down, arrest, and charge the group. Just days after the bloody massacre in the village of Ngobozana, South African police began to collect important clues. From the testimony of surviving witnesses, social media data, and evidence seized at the scene, investigators tracked down the suspects. On October 3, 2024, police officially arrested the first suspect, Saifasaksolo Mayaketha, who is believed to be the mastermind of the attack. In less than a month between October 3rd and 30th, a total of 8 suspects were arrested, including names such as Lwando Abi Shakes, Bonga Hinsa, Apiwe Ndende, Songezo Vuma, Mawetu Nomdlembu, Mzukisi Ndamase, and Zena Ndepaya. All had close contact with Mayaketha and were identified as those directly involved in the attack on 2 houses on the night of September 28th. Immediately after their arrest, the suspects were brought to trial at the Lusikisiki Magistrates Court. The prosecution charged them with extremely serious crimes, including 18 counts of murder, 5 counts of causing grievous bodily harm, and 1 count of illegal possession and use of weapons. The charges are based on evidence from the scene, witness statements, and physical evidence such as bullet casings, abandoned AK-47s, as well as conversations collected from social media. At the first hearing, all suspects were denied bail on the grounds that they were at high risk of fleeing and posing a danger to society. Prosecutors argued that this was an organized, well-planned crime, and that if left at large, the defendants could continue to commit crimes or intimidate witnesses. The arrest of the entire group of suspects and the filing of criminal charges is seen as a major step forward in efforts to bring the Eastern Cape province's most serious mass murder case to justice. After the massacre on the night of September 28, 2024, the Ngobozana community fell into serious crisis. According to a report from SABC News, many families living near the victim's home have had to leave the area for fear of retaliation or being caught up in the violence. The atmosphere in the village has become gloomy, panicked, and distrustful of social security. The Senkina family, which lost 9 members, was virtually wiped out. Some surviving members had to move to other areas. Local media noted that the memorial and burial ceremonies took place amid tight security, with armed police present. Faced with public pressure and the threat of renewed violence, SAPS established a permanent checkpoint at Nobozana and increased armed patrols around Lusikisiki and surrounding settlements. Colonel Priscilla Naidu, spokesperson for the SAPS Eastern Cape, confirmed the force presence was necessary to protect civilians and prevent the possibility of retaliation between factions. In public opinion, the name Saifosoksolo Mikethe, once considered a reformed person, has now become a symbol of betrayal and cruelty. The media called him the Eastern Cape's most hated serial killer, while the community described him as a ghost returned to wreak havoc in his own hometown. On 29th of July 2025, nearly 10 months after the shocking massacre in Ngobozana village, the first instance trial officially opened at the Lusikisiki Magistrates Court. 6 of the 8 suspects directly involved in the mass killings have appeared in court, including the main suspect Saifosoksolo Mayekethe. According to SABC News and News 24, the first witnesses have been called to give testimony, including a survivor of the attack, who is believed to have identified some of the accused at the scene. The trial was held under tight security, with armed police present in strict control of the area outside the courtroom. Prosecutors said the case has a large amount of evidence, including more than 100 pages of testimony, physical evidence seized from the scene, forensic data, and social media material, so the trial is expected to last at least 8 weeks. Notably, all of the defendants have pleaded not guilty, denying any involvement in the attack. Their defense attorneys have argued that their clients are being charged based on uncorroborated and speculative testimony. The trial is not only a legal matter, but also a test of the South African criminal justice system in dealing with organized mass killings, especially in rural areas that have received little attention. Even in a remote village like Ngobozana, crime cannot be hidden. 18 people were killed in one night out of hatred and revenge. Saifosoksolo Mayekethe, who had escaped a murder conviction, returned to guns and ended his life on the path of crime. Small mistakes, a photo showing off a gun, a survivor witness, brought the group to light. No matter how well prepared, the price in blood must be paid. What do you think of this massacre? If you feel like you need to share, please comment below. If there are any details missing, please say so. The truth is always complete.